Let's talk about Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This team just suffered a brutal loss against the Detroit Lions. And to be completely honest, they lost 20-6. I'm worried about this team long term, not because of Baker Mayfield and not because of Todd Bowles. I'm worried about this team long term because they're in the same situation they were in last season. Now, I don't think Baker Mayfield's a long-term answer for this team, but right now I can't say that he's out there and he's the reason that they're losing these football games. They are 3-2, so they are above 500. Baker Mayfield has been fine with this team. He's proven me wrong so far. Their running game is terrible. And it's not because Rachaad White is a horrible running back. Their offensive line blocking and run blocking situations is just terrible. Even back to last season, they were dead last in rushing yards per game. And right now, they're 25th. They only have one rushing touchdown as a team, and that comes from Rachaad White. They can't run the football. And we're about to get into the months to where it gets colder. It's going to be harder for Baker Mayfield to throw the football to guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Trey Palmer. Basically, play action with this team does not exist because teams are not going for it. And you're putting a lot of stress on Baker Mayfield and the offensive line. Now, Dave Canales is a brand new offensive coordinator with this team. This is his first year. And he's come out with some nice concepts. But even back to last year, this offensive line was not good in run blocking situations. And now when they had Byron Leftwich as the offensive coordinator, if they can't get their run game going and they can't get it in a better situation, this team's going to have a hard time winning football games against some of the top teams in the NFC. For sure. We've seen them lose to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now we've seen them lose to the Detroit Lions. Those are two top teams in the NFC. It's a bad look on this team because a lot of people say, well, they beat the Chicago Bears. They beat the Minnesota Vikings. They had no problems beating those teams. And you can't help who you play. You can only play who the NFL puts on your schedule. That's how I look at it. So I do think that they could be one of those teams that can go out and win this division. They already went out and they beat the New Orleans Saints in a very bad way. They beat them 26-9. So they could beat those type of teams. But when it comes to running the football effectively against some of the top teams in the NFC, they're not going to have a good time with that. They didn't even have a good time running the football against these bad teams that they've beaten. When they went against the Chicago Bears, that was their best day of running the football, especially for Rachaad White. He had 17 carries for 73 yards, averaged 4.3 yards a carry. As a matter of fact, that's the only game this team has scored a rushing touchdown in. In the other games, they haven't been able to. Against the Detroit Lions, Rachaad White had 7 carries for 26 yards, 3.7 yards a carry. Against New Orleans Saints, 15 carries for 56 yards, 3.7 yards a carry. Against the Philadelphia Eagles, 14 carries for 38 yards, 2.7 yards a carry. And against the Minnesota Vikings, 17 carries, 39 yards. That's 2.3 yards a carry. And he's their main running back with this team. They have to find a way to open up the run game, either use more motion or just do something to get things going up front. They cannot get a push up front. It's going to be a long rest of the season for this team because you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield. Now, the counteract that would be to have Baker Mayfield go in the old type of system that Tom Brady used to run with the Patriots, like a death with 1,000 paper cuts type of situation, to where you're just doing a bunch of swing passes to running backs and you're getting 3 to 4 yards and use those short passes as your run game, try to set up some screens, but that can only do so much. You still have to be able to run the football in a traditional situation. So right now, with them not being able to run the football, it's putting a lot of stress on Baker Mayfield, the wide receivers, and this offensive line. Now, I do want to give some criticism to Todd Bowles in this situation. The defense has been fine so far. I like Vita Vea a lot. He's one of the best defensive linemen in the game. Shaquille Barrett hasn't been able to take that next step just yet, as he's coming off a season where he had a torn Achilles. They are blitzing insanely too much. Too much. And I know that's what you get with a Todd Bowles team. Even when he was the defensive coordinator, when he first came over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they had Bruce Arians as a head coach, he was blitzing heavy. You're putting a lot of stress on your corners. And we saw it today against the Detroit Lions. You can only blitz so much before you get beat over top. Jameson Williams had a big play in this game. A.J. Brown had a big play against this team a couple weeks ago in the Monday Night Football game. And we've seen Justin Jefferson also give this team problems as well. Dial back the blitzing just a little bit. Just a little bit. Stop putting your corners on the island and just hoping that the blitz can get there, because eventually when you go against a quarterback that has good mobility and plays break down and you no longer have guys in the secondary that can aid over top, you're going to get beat deep. But right now, this team is 3-2. They look like the best team in their division, but that's just the truth about this team. They can't run the football and they blitz too much. Baker Mayfield is not the reason that they're losing football games. And right now, he's shedding a lot of people up. He hasn't played like a top 10 quarterback, but he has played very good football with this team. But let me know in the comment section below, what is the ceiling with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Can they make it out of this division into the playoffs, and can they win a playoff game? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.